Hello, in this video we'll learn how to solve one-step equations with multiplication and division. As you can see in these examples, 7p means multiply by 7, z over 4 means divide by 4, and 3/4 m, because it has a fractional coefficient, it really means multiply and divide. Before you begin, you need pencil and paper. You must do these problems on your own without just watching me. Lastly, you need to know some skills. You should know how to multiply and divide integers and how to multiply and divide fractions. You'll test these on the next page. Before we begin, I'd like you to try some review problems, and if you get them right, you're ready for this lesson. Please click pause now, and then I will reveal the answers in 3 seconds. How'd you do? To solve one-step equations, you must first locate the variable and identify what operation is happening to it. Then perform the inverse operation to both sides of the equation. This is called the one step. Lastly, we simplify and check our answer. This last step is important so that you can make sure that you did your work correctly. Okay, let's jump into some sample problems. I'm going to do the problems on the left, and you'll do the ones on the right. First, we identify the variable and what's happening to it. The variable here is x, and what's happening to it? It's being multiplied by 4. Now you try it with yours. What's the variable and what's happening to it? Good. The variable is y, and it's being multiplied by 3. Going back to my example, what is the inverse operation to times 4? Well, the inverse operation is divide by 4. So we divide both sides of this equation by 4. Now you try it. On your equation, do the opposite operation to both sides of the equation. Good. You divide both sides of this equation by 3. Now let's go back to my equation. We're going to now simplify and then check our answer. 4x over 4, sometimes people like to cancel these. 4x over 4 is just x, and then 24 over 4 is 6. So our final answer is x equals 6. Now you try it on yours. Simplify and write your final answer as an equation. Good. The 3's cancel. 3y over 3 is just y, and 12 over 3 is 4. Final answer. Lastly, we need to check our answer. So our answer is correct. Now I'd like you to check yours. Taking the original equation, 3y equals 12, substitute in y equals 4. Okay. Good job. Now let's do some division problems. Again, the rules are the same. We identify the variable and ask what's happening to it. Then we perform the inverse operation to both sides. Then we simplify and check. I'll do the one on the right. I'll do the one on the left, and you'll do the one on the right. So here we have q over 5 equals -2. Q is being divided by 5, so we're going to multiply both sides by 5. Now sometimes people just write it times 5, sometimes people write times of 5 over 1. I would like you to do the same thing over here on the right. Very good. You're going to multiply both sides of this equation by 4. Now, we're going to simplify. 5 times q over 1 times 5, well, these 5's cancel, and I'm just left with q. -2 times 5 is a -10. So this is our final answer. I'd like you to do the same. Simplify both sides of this equation to get your final answer. Very good. These 4's cancel, and you're just left with z over here on the left. And then 9 times 4 is 36. Final answer. Now we have to check our answer. Checks. On the right, I'd like you to check this answer. Take the original equation, z over 4 equals 9, and then substitute in z equals 36. So our answer checks. Now we're going to try things with fractional coefficients. In these two problems, we have a simple fraction, what they call a unit fraction, with 1 in the numerator. And it makes things a little more interesting because this is 1/2 times y, so the inverse operation would be to divide by 1/2. And another way of saying divide by 1/2, instead of saying divide by 1/2, another way of saying that is multiply by 2 over 1, or just multiply by 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to perform the inverse operation, which is actually to multiply by 2 over 1 on both sides of this equation. Now you try it over here on the right. Write the inverse operation on both sides. Very good. It's to multiply by 3 or multiply by 3 over 1. Now we're going to simplify. These 2's cancel. These 1's they cancel. Not really important. And what we're left with is y over here on the left. And then 7 times 2 is 14. 14 over 1 is the same as 14. This is our final answer. Now I'd like you to try it on the right. Simplify and get your final answer. Okay, these 3's canceled, and we're left with n. And the negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. This should be your final answer. Now to simplify, or to check our answer, we're going to streamline the process a little bit. We can actually use mental math to check these answers. 1/2 y, we'll substitute 14 for y, 1/2 of 14 is 7. So our answer does check. And over here on the right, a negative 15. What's 1/3 of negative 15? Well, that's negative 15 divided by 3, which is negative 5. This answer checks as well. The next problems are going to be slightly harder because we're going to be using true fractional coefficients. But the process is exactly the same. In this first problem, negative 2/5 z means that z is being multiplied by negative 2/5. So the inverse operation to this is to divide by negative 2/5 or to multiply by negative 5/2. We must do this on both sides of the equation. Then we simplify. Negative, the 5's cancel, the 2's cancel, and the negatives cancel. We're left with z equals, now 6 times 5/2. Some people say the 6 and the 2 cancel, leaving a 3, and we're left with 3 times negative 5, which is negative 15. And this is our final answer. If we want to check, we simply plug in to the original problem. Negative 2/5 times negative 15, well, 5 and the 15 cancel, the negative 2 times negative 3, that in fact equals 6. Now you try it. Solve this equation on the right. Now please proceed to part 2 of this lesson.